Donald Trump has always been a towering figure not just in politics or business, but also as a father. His approach to parenting has been described as strategic, calculated, and often filtered through the same lens he applies to politics and branding. Every decision, every interaction, every association must align with the image he projects. That's why when news began leaking from inside Mar-a-Lago that Barron Trump, the youngest and most protected of his children, had become involved with someone referred to internally as a virgin gold digger, it triggered a chain of events that not only rocked the Trump household but also stunned those who thought they understood how the former president operated. The punishment Trump delivered was swift, cold, and public in its own silent way, and it sent a message louder than any press conference he ever gave. This was more than a father trying to correct his son. This was a man determined to control the legacy he had built, no matter the personal cost. Barron Trump has lived a life unlike any of his peers. From the moment he was born, the world had eyes on him. Raised in wealth, shadowed by cameras, and guarded like royalty, his upbringing was isolated and tightly managed. Melania Trump took extraordinary measures to keep him away from the political chaos that surrounded his father's presidency, while Donald Trump saw in Barron not just a son, but a potential heir to the Trump legacy. So when Barron, now growing into a young adult, began exploring life beyond the confines of his gilded world, it was only a matter of time before he stumbled into something or someone that would provoke his father's fury. It began innocently, as most real-life dramas do. Through a mutual acquaintance of someone from an elite private school circle in Florida, Barron was introduced to a girl who immediately stood out from the usual socialites. She was younger than the women often seen at high-profile events, reportedly 19, stunning in appearance, and spoke with a calm confidence that seemed to charm everyone she met. Unlike many who orbit the rich and powerful, she didn't flaunt her presence, and she seemed to have a quiet mystique that pulled people in. She wasn't famous, but she was known. Online, her profile showed photos of luxury items, travel, hints of wealth without any visible source of income, and cryptic captions that often reference power, secrecy, and ambition. She didn't need to say macro lifestyle said it all. To Barron, who had never truly navigated relationships outside his parents' reach, she was exciting, different, and perhaps most dangerously unfiltered. What started as a series of texts turned into horse-to-long conversations, and eventually, late-night meetups away from the prying eyes of security. Barron had reportedly begun sneaking out under minimal cover, using staff members he trusted to spend time with her. At first, Melania didn't notice anything unusual. Barron had always been quiet, private, and thoughtful, but soon, he started acting differently, more distracted, slightly anxious, unusually secretive for someone who had never before had the space to hide anything. Then one evening, he was spotted by one of Trump's longtime security chiefs, leaving a beachside villa that had not been cleared or approved by the family's team. His companion, the same girl who had now appeared multiple times in locations where Barron was supposed to be alone. That's when the background checks began. Trump doesn't wait for gossip to snowball, crushes it early. Within 24 hours, the girl's entire digital footprint had been combed through. Her followers, her photos, her private messages, even details about the older men she had been connected to in the past. What emerged was, in Trump's eyes, a worst-case scenario. Her past was murky. She had once dated a hedge fund manager nearly twice her age. She was allegedly involved in a luxury escorting ring proven, but suspected. She often posts pictures near Trump-owned properties without tagging locations. And then there were the DMS. While nothing directly incriminating was found, there were enough red flags for Trump's team to deliver one clear label. This girl was a classic virgin gold digger, a young woman targeting a high-profile heir before his full value had even matured. When Trump was given the report, he reportedly exploded, not because of the girl had seen her kind before, but because Barron, his youngest, the one he had worked hardest to shelter, had fallen for it. He saw it as weakness, betrayal, and above all, vulnerability. For Donald Trump, the worst thing his son could be was vulnerable to manipulation. That night, he summoned Barron to his private quarters and unleashed what insiders say was the most intense conversation the two had ever had. There was no yelling, but the words were sharp, direct, and unforgettable. He asked Barron if he knew who she really was, if he understood what people would say, if he grasped how badly this could be used against their family. Barron, for the first time in his life, pushed back. He told his father she wasn't like that the people judging her didn't know her, that he felt normal with her, human even, and that maybe, For once, he wanted to make a decision, without the Trump name weighing down every second of it. But Trump didn't hear any of it. He told Barron that this was not just about emotions. This was about control. That he wasn't just Barron was a Trump. And Trumps don't get played. Trumps don't fall. Trumps choose. And what Barron was doing wasn't choosing, it was surrendering. The punishment came swiftly. Barron's phone was taken. His social media was shut down. The girl was placed on a security blacklist, meaning she could no longer enter any Trump property, and would be flagged by staff if she appeared at any Trump-sponsored event. Barron's movements were restricted. His guards were replaced with stricter professionals. Even some of his longtime friends were told to distance themselves temporarily while the situation was contained. Melania was reportedly blindsided by how harsh the response was. She had known Donald to be firm, but she believed this time he had crossed a line. Still, even she couldn't undo the decisions already made. Meanwhile, the girl posted a cryptic message on Instagram, a single sentence: "They never let the prince choose his queen." It set off a wildfire of speculation. Within hours, her post was flooded with comments. Some called her a victim. Others said she was playing the long game. A few began digging deeper into her past, exposing her connections to influencers, wealthy donors, and fringe political operatives. The media stayed quiet at first, but online tabloids began whispering. Barron's forbidden romance, Trump bans mystery girlfriend, the Era and the Hustler headlines that threatened to explode if not shut down. And so, Trump's legal team quietly moved to ensure the story didn't go mainstream. Letters were sent, threats were made, accounts were scrubbed. Silence, once again, returned to Mar-a-Lago.
But silence doesn't heal betrayal. According to insiders, Barron fell into a deep emotional slump. He barely spoke. He stopped attending events. He didn't eat with the family. At one point, he even reportedly packed a suitcase and told a staffer he wanted to go live with his older sister Tiffany, away from everything. The suitcase was unpacked before Melania even found out. Trump, however, stood by his decision. He told his closest aides that protecting the brand was more important than temporary pain. That in time, Barron would understand. That one day, he would thank him for it. What Trump didn't count on was how much sympathy this situation would generate. For the first time, Barron was seen not just as the unreachable youngest Trump, but as a boy lonely, confused, and denied even the basic freedom of feeling something for another person. On social media, #FreeBarron trended briefly. Creators and users who typically avoided politics began discussing the incident. Psychologists were invited on podcasts to talk about the emotional toll of over-control in high-profile families. And behind closed doors, even some of Trump's loyal allies quietly questioned whether this time he had gone too far. The girl disappeared from the internet soon after. Her accounts were deactivated. Her friends stopped posting about her. Some believe she was paid to stay silent. Others think she left voluntarily. No one really knows. Barron never spoke of her again, but those closest to him say something in him changed. He became more careful, more internal. The spark that had briefly appeared in his eyes when she was around, the brief sense of teenage freedom, was gone. Trump, meanwhile, went on as if nothing happened. He returned to campaign rallies. He made headlines. He posted on Truth Social. But the people who know him best say this moment stuck with him, not because of the girl, but because for the first time, his control over his son had been tested. And while he may have won the battle, the war between father and son had quietly begun. What Trump did to Barron wasn't just punishment, it was a message to the world. That legacy matters more than love. That control matters more than connection. And that the Trump empire would not be derailed by emotion, even if that meant breaking his own son's heart. The response didn't just leave Barron silent, it left America speechless.